Welcome back to Philosophy of the Barber. Today's guest is Cody Walker Jr. He's been a barber for 4 years. He owns Main Street Social Club in Laconia, New Hampshire, and he is a graduate of the Community Barber School in Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome, Cody.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, it's been a wonderful day. We're kind of running around like crazy.
Yeah. We've been pretty busy these last few weeks with, tourism and, the summer crowd coming through. So, yeah, been busy.
So, first, we typically go through how on earth somebody found barbering in their life. So, why don't you tell us your little story, because I haven't heard it.
Well, I've told it to a bunch of customers, so I'll give you the version. I got in my early 20s, I was involved in music, and that was a big part of my life, and I thought that was kind of like my end game. I thought no matter what, I'm going to play music, and I just kind of got burnt out on that and started trying to find a real career and something without paperwork and without stress and something that would be a fun job. So I just woke up one day and said, hey, maybe I'll try barber school. And got on Google and found out that there was a barber school about a half mile from my house. So I just went down there and talked to them. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. I have no barbers in my family or anything like that. So it's kind of a new thing.
So obviously you were living in Florida at the time. How did you decide on that particular school that you went to?
Well, I called around, and they were really the only school that answered the phone. And I found out later that the other schools were closed down, so they were the only school in my area. There were some cosmetology programs around, but I kind of wanted to just do barbering. So, I went in there and talked to Mr. Parks, and he said, come on in, bring some money and show up, and we'll get you enrolled. So that's what I did.
So what was your experience with barbering prior to, thinking about that as a profession? Did you just frequent barber shops? You enjoy the atmosphere? Or?
The funniest thing is I really have not a lot of experience in barber shops because for a long time I was just getting my hair cut by a friend of mine who was a musician who had a salon. So I've just go in there and so going to barber school was really one of my first experiences in a barber environment. I went to some kind of older guy in the neighborhood once or twice and wasn't real happy with my haircut, so just wound up going back to my friend. And so I have not a lot of experience in barbering until I went to school. That's when I started kind of understanding that barbering was making a big comeback and that it was kind of just becoming a more popular thing. So yeah, I got really lucky just stumbling into it, really.
So what caught your eye most, and what kind of became your focus in the profession? Because obviously, in my case, I love shaving. I'll give up cutting hair and doing a bunch of other stuff that barbers do if I could shave faces all day. Do you have something that is really close to your heart and something that you love to focus on?
That's a good question. I really enjoy the interaction with people the most. There are certain haircuts. I think every barber has their strength and weakness. So for me, I really love connecting with people that I find a common ground, music or whatever it might be. And I've met a lot of great friends through barbering. So sometimes I feel like my friends are just coming to visit me. So that's probably my favorite part of barbering. It's hard for me to nail down a particular service that I like the most. I like easy haircuts. More difficult haircuts, I can pull them off sometimes. I struggle with them sometimes. But yeah, I like just talking to people and laughing and making friends and stuff. That's my favorite part of barbering.
So your ideal day is everybody coming in wanting a 3.5 on top, tapered down, and boom, done.
I love that, yeah.
As long as you got enough time to have a good conversation.
Yeah, and actually thinking about now with the way things have been going with Corona and sanitation that I'm just going to extend my appointment slots and so I can just focus more on answering the phone and talking to people and greeting people, and instead of just trying to
Bang
do as
'em
many
out.
haircuts as I can a day. I just want to have a more enjoyable experience at work. I don't want to be stressed and back to back and running behind. So yeah, I love just talking to people and hanging out, and yeah, that's my favorite part.
Well, and we've had conversations in the past when you were converting Main Street Social Club about like what your goal was as a shop owner. That you don't want to do 20, 25 haircuts a day. Like you don't want to be a slave behind the chair. You want something to be a little more on the leisurely pace. You don't want to have to worry about a slam and shop necessarily.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the atmosphere you wanna grow in that shop.
Right, and I'm hoping that, I guess, I've done a lot of thinking on it, and I've kind of calculated things, and I've found for me personally that if I'm stressed and I'm overworking, I wind up spending more money outside of work. And I've found if I have a balance between work and my free time and everything, that I can actually get by better with less. So I feel like if I do a few less haircuts a day and I'm happier, then that's better for my overall well-being. And I think that it allows me to do better services and has a better connection with the customers. So that's kind of like my goal now is every haircut, I want to have a great time, and I want the customer to be happy. I know that sounds generic, but I just really want everyone that that sits in my chair to want to be there, not just like the guy who comes at Saturday. He just needs a quick haircut. I want it to be people that I know, and I know that sounds kind of like a pipe dream, but that's kind of what I'm shooting for. So
I don't think that's a pipe dream at all. I actually think it's very mature to have that clear of a vision of like how you want to spend your day. And I think overall that's extremely healthy in the long run, going, all right, so like it's one thing if somebody's young in the profession and has a lot of hustle and wants to learn, wants to grow, wants to build something. And one way to go about that is usually just grind through and build your clientele with mass, and then once you have that mountain, you can then chisel out your perfect clientele from that. But that also takes time to let people go away in whatever way you want to do that. But you're wanting to build it block by block into the masterpiece you want it to be, and what you want to look at every day.
yeah, absolutely. And I think I talk to a lot of my customers about this, or Travis, and I say that if I'm working extra long or I'm too stressed out, I start making a lot of mistakes. So I think for me personally, it's better for me to just try to do a good job, and even if it means a couple less cuts every day, but I have the time to talk to people after the haircut. They want to show you a picture on their phone or a video, or I like that stuff. So it is a business, and I understand that, and I'm probably not the best business owner because I'm very personal. So, but yeah, I like that. I just like having a personal relationship with people, and sometimes you might not charge someone for a beard trim or whatever. It's fun. It's like my little spot, my little space in the universe. So I like that.
Well, and I think that's a phenomenal way to go about it. Like it has everything to do with what your goals are as a business person. Like you're not wrong for like if you're not in this to get rich, then there's no reason to have to hustle and stress over a bunch of stuff. Like because I mean that's how you start on that path. But because it's a lot of work in order to make those goals. But if that's not your goal, then that doesn't matter. It's building something else. It's aiming for a different destination. And as
Right.
long as you're still on the path to reach that long-term goal, that's all that really matters. And that's your business and your prerogative.
Yeah, and if I can, live my life comfortably with that, then it works great. And I'm hoping one day the shop can grow a little bit, and if I can get another guy in there, maybe it'll be a couple more bucks, and But I'm just trying to enjoy it. And yeah, I remember when I first opened, you know how it is. You first open, you'll do anything for everybody. You're coming in early, staying late, and one of my regular customers, I kind of didn't see some thing on his neck, and I'm using the clipper, and I kind of got him, and I realized right there that I've been here for 12 hours, and I'm now making mistakes, and I could possibly lose this guy forever. So is it really worth it? Is it worth staying late and coming in early and all that? And since coronavirus, we've had to change our entire business model from walk-ins to appointments, and we kind of narrowed our schedule a lot, and everything's been going really good. We're not doing as many haircuts, but we're feeling really refreshed, and so I'm really liking the pace of the shop since we've come back and we're doing appointments. I really like it, so it's been good.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that our industry is kind of waking up to. Because, I mean, appointments at barbershops, you typically see in shops that have more chairs, because there's a little more versatility, a lot more diversity in personalities or booth renters and their wants and needs. But now that we're kind of forced into this position to adapt to whatever restrictions we're given state by state, it's starting to open people's eyes, not only to barbers when it comes to the freedom of having control over your schedule, going, all right, if I have a doctor's appointment, or if, I have to take a kid to something, or, anything like that, you have the power to block out that time without like having to go for the rest of the day. Because, I mean, quite often I do recall when we were walk-in only, if, say, you have a 2 o'clock appointment and it's going to last an hour, like, are you really going to come back for, an hour or two for work?
Right.
Especially if you got to, like, drive here and there, chances are that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you have it, logged in to your schedule, all right, well, you have that time frame. There are people that booked after that time frame, so now you're coming back, you get to see 2 more people, and then you're off.
Yeah. But no one's going to come looking for you while you're gone. That's
true.
Because, geographically around here, people come from Molten Borough and they come from all over. And let's say you're a walk-in shop and you have an emergency, and then this guy just drove 45 minutes to get a haircut and you're not there. So appointments are great. I'm saying it. I like them. I always said I would never do them, but I'm sold.
He's been converted.
I am 100% convert. Actually, I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday for a sleep study. And so, yeah, I can do that.
It's nice.
That's something that you and I talked about, your health, that I've been seriously considering a lot. So realizing that you can just stand behind that chair for 100 hours in a row, and there'll still be more haircuts. So you have to stop and take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of your customers. And that's my new motto, and that's what I'm trying to live by now with our appointments. And I'm really, really happy with the way my life has shifted since we've went in that direction. So,
and I find it to be so important. And it's not to knock anybody who has the mantra or, lives by the code of, if somebody comes in and they want a haircut, you're available for them. Doesn't matter if you're like mid-sandwich or whatever, it's, boom, you're there. And I mean, that is one style of service that, is legitimate, and that's somebody's personal choice. But I definitely believe that your health is more important than a single haircut. And
absolutely.
So if that means that you have to sacrifice, a half an hour of your day, I don't even consider it a sacrifice, but one haircut out of your pocket so that you can have a meal, so that you can feel better and be better and act nicer, because hanger's a thing.
It really is.
That's, a far better investment in the long run in yourself than that, one service haircut, however much you decide to charge. Like, the monetary value is nothing compared to the intrinsic value that you are putting into you for the long run.
Yeah. And again, we've talked about this, but if you drop dead at 58 because you didn't take care of yourself but you made an extra $150 a week. Was it worth it?
And I've had a few friends who have had those scares.
So, it's really important. And I'm glad that all this stuff is happening, because I think if we would have kept going the way we were, I would have gotten burnt out completely over there. So I was pretty much in there from 7:30 or sometimes 7 until 7:30 or 8 at night, and it was killing me, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I had to scale it way back, and coronavirus gave us the chance to do that without being abrupt, because we were closed.
Or giving the impression that it was like being a dick move or something.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we've been closed for 2 months. This is the perfect time to change everything. We went up $2 I actually did that because I thought we were going to have to buy a lot of cleaning supplies.
Which, initially.
Yeah, well, but fortunately we got the masks from the state. But and then I said, well, we have to do appointments, and I didn't want to have to be on the phone all day because I like to talk to my customer in the chair. So that's when we decided to implement our online thing, and we still book people on the phone, but we're doing the set more thing, and it works great. Everyone says it's easy, and that's 95% of the customers. They're like, yeah, it's great. So yeah, it's working for most people, so we're happy.
And that is the nice thing, is that not only are barbers learning the benefit of appointments, but so are customers.
Yes.
When all right, so you don't have to wait for an hour to get a haircut now. Mm-hmm. You can plan out your day, and especially when they're having to deal with kids and back to school stuff right now, and like dealing with that sort of uncertainty of what's going to be remote, what's going to be in person, half here, half there, or all the way, or if you're deciding to homeschool because you don't want to have to deal with that kind of drama. People who are running households now have to be much more precise,
right,
in their time management.
Yeah, time is just very valuable, and a lot of people say that. I also feel like as a barber, you're able to give a better service when there's not 4 people staring and waiting for their turn.
Oh, there is that pressure of there's a waiting room full of people. They're looking at me.
Those guys.
Yes, the passive-aggressive men. They do exist.
We're really small, so it's just me and Travis. And usually we have our people in the chair, and there's no one else in the shop. Maybe one person on the couch. And I like that. It's very small, but the guy on the couch knows that in 15 minutes it's his turn. He's just maybe there early, or we're running behind. But I like that. I always felt that I was letting them down by taking too long to cut hair, but I was letting this person in my chair down because I was flying through it or trying to get it done, So appointments are great. I know I keep harping on it, but it's been a game changer. It's changed my entire life. Like, it's insane.
Well, and for us, I've always tried to have the mindset of the person in my chair is paying for my time. Right. So they get the amount of time it takes me to do their service. The person who's waiting is paying with their time by waiting, mm-hmm. which is why before all 2020, we had some appointments days with some of our barbers, and then walk-in service. So the justification for the appointment service being more expensive is because you're paying for the convenience of not having to wait. So either way you're paying. If you're a walk-in, you're paying with your time by waiting. Or if you're an appointment, you're paying with your wallet because you don't want to wait.
Yeah. And you're paying for the convenience to say, I want to be here at this time and be serviced. And
be out by this time.
Yeah. Because maybe they're a doctor or a lawyer, or they have a schedule and they need to be somewhere. So, and it's good to do both, because obviously there's always going to be people that just need one now, and they just happen to get off work early, or unfortunately no one can really do that right now. But so we have to turn people away occasionally. But yeah, I don't know when we're going to ever be allowed to go back to walk-ins.
I feel like the majority of the people we have popping into our shops, because for the listeners that don't know, Cody's shop is actually in my shop's old location.
About
like
350
6 doors
feet
down.
away. I always say 350 feet on the left, you'll see a barber pole.
There's no sign, just a pole. So
Yeah.
I think the majority of people that are walking into our shops, like looking to get a haircut right then and there, aren't from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And didn't, for whatever reason, bother to look up the guidance for when they decided to go on vacation in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Yeah, we got someone from out of state today, and I hate turning people away because the old mantra, like you said, if you turn away a customer, you just lost a customer for life. But hey, it is what it is. You lose your customer, or you can lose your shop because you didn't follow the rules.
Yep.
So we're just doing the best we can, and I always try to give them an alternative, like, hey, I can set you up for another day, and I just do the best I can with it, and but it's tough right now. It's tough being in the hair industry during a pandemic. It's a lot of stuff.
Well, I think one of the great silver linings from lockdown and the reopening is really the camaraderie and the network of barbers that, some people have the mindset of, kind of a gruff or competition, like, them over there kind of a thing. But we have the luxury of having a really great rapport and being able to reach out to one another to, be cooperative and collaborative if necessary. That way it's like, because there's so much work for us here. And I realize that the rest of the country may not be like that, but in little old New Hampshire in the Lakes region, we're kind of busy.
Yeah.
So when somebody calls and, they want a haircut, the day of or the next day because they're going on a trip or whatever, and we are, fully booked, I like having the ability to go, hey, I can refer you to somewhere that will give you just as good of a haircut.
Oh, well, actually, people have been telling me that you guys sent them over, and I said, well, that's really nice.
Well, because, especially when somebody has a limited amount of time and I can't accommodate them, I go, but I can send you somewhere that can.
And it seems like the few times they've called, we've been able to get them in, like, the next day. So, yeah, that's cool. And it's really nice that you guys do that, But, yeah, it's nice to have the endorsement from another shop that's much more established. So, yeah.
But even we haven't covered this part of your history, but you used to work at Rick's Barbershop in Meredith.
Yep.
Which, wasn't that our first interaction? Didn't you send me like a Facebook message because you were moving up here?
Because I was going to bring that up. You want me to do a little quick backstory?
Go for it.
So, how I found New Hampshire was through the music industry. I was playing with a little blues band, and we did a little tour, and we wound up in the Lakes region and in Weirs Beach. And that's how I first discovered New Hampshire and Laconia. So when I got my barber license in Jacksonville and I thought I was halfway decent enough, I decided I wanted to relocate, and I just Googled barbershop Laconia and found your page, and then I emailed. I said, hey, what's the barber scene like up there? Are there jobs, or is it busy? And yeah, you said, yeah, go talk to Rick. He's looking for a barber. So started talking to him, and then wound up coming up to visit and meeting him in person. And then I worked there for about a year and a half. Good shop. I was pretty busy there, so that was kind of my introduction to barbering in New Hampshire.
And that's not a bad shop to start off in, especially when you're, pretty much right out of school. Yeah,
it was a good shop, and there's a lot of loyal customers there, and I met a lot of great people there, and it was cool. I just kind of felt like I was ready to do something new, and I kind of stuck around as long as I could, and I just felt like I just felt like maybe it's time for me to do something kind of on my own, and I've always kind of been an entrepreneur at heart because as a musician, I worked for myself, and I always used to say, I just want to do my own thing. And before I met JD, I was kind of going around to different shops, and I wanted to find a shop where I could just put my barber chair in the corner and just run my own, just me, kind of like a chair rental. But I didn't want to wear a uniform. I didn't want to conform to anybody's hours. I'm not like a nonconformist, but I just needed to
autonomy.
Have complete control over my schedule, my life, my income. And I went to a few shops, and nobody was really looking for anybody. And how I found JD, and I guess we can go into that backstory a little later, but I found JD through the beauty school. I took my daughter there, and she was thinking about maybe getting into hair one day. And I told him that I'm an unemployed barber, and I was actually thinking about taking a break from barbering and just trying something new. Because the last 2 barbershops I'd been at, I just wasn't getting the fulfillment that I needed. And they told me that JD was getting ready to sell his barbershop. I had no idea your history with him or anybody's history. I just knew there was this kind of older guy that had a little barbershop on Pleasant Street, and he wanted to sell it. So I went and talked to him, and his asking price was a little higher than what I had. So I said, hey, I'm sorry. And he wound up calling me back right as I was getting ready to sign a lease for 653 Main Street across from Barbery's. I was going to do something in that spot where that also used to be JD's barbershop. And he said, don't do it. Don't do it. That guy. And long story short, he said, there's this little space, 610 Main Street. It's a great location. And I obviously had peeked in the window before, saw there was a barbershop there. I thought it was cool. And then it was empty for a while. So I thought, wow, I'm looking around and there's lights. There's plugs on the wall. I'm going, this is like perfect barbershop.
There's a shampoo sink already installed.
Everything you possibly needed. I mean, I'm still using the broom that you guys left in the basement. I mean, it's like, holy crap. I
got that from JD. Thank you.
Really? I was just so blessed with that opportunity. And we started out, and he had his sign, and I put my sign. Then he told me to take my sign down. And then once he left, and Travis came on board, I said, okay, I can't call it Cody the Barber LLC anymore. And then started deciding that, hey, we're going to change the name. We're going to rebrand it. And we're going to like take this to the next level, you know? And so it's been fun. It has been crazy, but I'm very lucky. I know that I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to do it. And, you know, you did a lot of work in there with the lights and,
all right,
you know.
Let's unpack this whole JD thing that you and I have together. So when I was barbering for about a year out of school, I always wanted to open a shop. And I happened to hear that there was a guy who wanted to sell his shop in Laconia. I had been in Laconia all of one time, I think, to go to Weirs Beach, actually. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go, talk to him, check it out. Turns out this guy was like my father-in-law's best friend. My father-in-law at the time, his best friend.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so we talked, we chatted. First time rolling up in Laconia is like 5 o'clock at night. It's late fall, so of course it's dark. Everything's closed on Main Street.
It's like a ghost town after 5.
But like you have that roll up and you see there's on-street parking.
Oh, yeah.
Count the banks with ATMs within walking distance because, cards were not all the rage at the time. And then, there's a beauty school and
that big glass storefront.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I walk in and it's a little lackluster. Back then, it was like white walls. There was carpet. Legit carpet.
That is so strange.
With a section of tile where his station was.
Kind of like how 653 Main is. There's carpet in there. There's a little area with old linoleum or maybe asbestos tile or something.
Probably hasn't changed since he had his shop there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, drop ceiling. Like you saw none of what you see there now.
Oh, with the nice tiles that are up there. So there was actually a drop ceiling in there?
There was a drop ceiling, and above the drop ceiling was that tin ceiling.
Wow.
Because my original plan, based on what I saw at the time, was to get the drop ceiling tiles that look like tin.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, there's already a drop ceiling there, so I might as well get those tiles to replace it, because I wanted that look. And then we popped one tile out and saw the tin ceiling, and I was like, well, that just saved me a couple grand.
Yeah. It's a really cool little shop, that location. It's, it's got its it's not perfect.
It's got its quirks.
Yeah, but
There's character there.
for me, it's been exactly what I need, and I'm just really thankful. And it's been great. But you bought your shop from JD.
I bought my shop from JD.
Well, you didn't buy your shop. I'm sorry. You bought his business, which is what I did, right? And then changed the name.
So I bought his business for, we'll just say, under 10 grand. And I was young, 22, 23-year-old, and did not put a non-compete clause in that contract.
Yeah.
So when I bought the shop, I did like 3 weeks of overhaul to totally like renovate the place, and then we opened. There was no grand opening. It was like, boom, all right, let's work, because people already knew that there was a shop there. So I was just waiting for people to walk in and get a haircut, because there was just a general knowledge between the salons and the barbershops downtown that you could just get a haircut downtown and somebody's going to walk in. So in essence, I paid for the ability to get his clientele to stay.
Yeah.
That and a barber pole is basically what I got.
Because you didn't use any of his equipment, right?
I actually, I still have his mirror from his station.
Oh, wow.
The big mirror that has our decal on it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was his station mirror.
It's cool to keep like a little memento, like that. Like I have his
cool
sign up in the shop.
Well, it's the only thing that has our name on it now.
Yeah.
We don't have a sign, so.
Yeah.
But I traded his barber chair for another barber chair from the barber school.
Oh, cool.
So, his barber chair had a headrest. I was trading it for a barber chair without a headrest, but it was the same brand as the other two chairs that I had.
Oh, so it matched.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what mattered for me. But 4 months after we opened, he moved back to Laconia.
Was that Busy Corner or
yeah,
Pleasant?
his Busy Corner first.
Oh, yeah.
And then that shop eventually caught fire. Like there was, I think homeless people broke into the basement and set a fire or something.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
And then he actually went to work at Barberies for a bit. For those people who don't know Laconia Main Street, there are 3 barbershops currently on the same side of the street on Main Street. The first one is the Main Street Social Club. The second one is Polished and Proper. And the third one is Barberies, who has been there forever.
Like 25 years?
The owner's name is Dan.
Dan Barber. He's a nice dude.
He and I get along really well. He can come off as a grumpy guy just because he can't always hear people. Comes with age. But they used to feud when JD had his shop across the street from Barberies. Like, they would go out and yell at each other. It was like some old school, feudy movie stuff.
Yeah. I've heard some stories with the binoculars.
So
JD looking across the street.
He's looking for his customers. Are they cheating on me?
Yeah. Where's my customers?
But the fact that they were able to get along and work in the same shop for that particular bit of time was just so shocking to me.
It was very nice of Dan to open his door to JD.
Right?
After everything they'd been through.
And then he went to that was a couple of months. Then he went to Meredith for a little bit.
That's right. Because he always says, I didn't do very good in Meredith.
And then he went to Franklin for a couple of weeks, kind of a thing.
And he set up right next door to another barbershop and went $1 cheaper than them. They're 20, I'm 19.
And then he came back to Pleasant Street.
And he was there for 5 years or so.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, maybe not 5.
4 years.
4.
Yeah. And then when we moved from 610 to 632 to expand, he was like, I can get my old spot back.
Yeah. Yep. That's basically what he said. He said, it's a great barbershop. Great location. And we went in there, and it doesn't take long for people to start popping in when you're right there. I mean, I couldn't believe it. A lot of them were his customers, but we just got random tourists who would just walk in. And I think some of them thought they were at Polished and Proper.
Probably.
And if they were I always try to direct people there. If they ask me or they say one of the other barbers' names, I'll say, no, it's down there. Sometimes I'm halfway in the haircut, and they're like, yeah, I've been here before. It used to be all dark, though. I'm like, oh, yeah. I painted it. New ownership. But it's kind of a quirky thing about being in that location, I guess, and us all being so close together, is that people are gonna get on Google and go to the wrong place or whatever. But it seems that we're all co-mingling really well, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, I actually, I enjoy having, because I mean, we have three very different shops with varying numbers of barbers in each of them and different atmospheres, different ways of doing things. Like, it offers variety, and I'm always been a proponent of competition breeds quality, which means the more of us there are, the better we're going to be.
I agree.
Which is overall best for the customer because it means they have a variety to choose from.
Yeah, I think barbershops are a lot like restaurants. I mean, just different flavors, different styles, and each shop kind of has its own character and feeling when you come in, and you got your old timer shops, you got your hip shops that got the guys with the mustaches and the tattoos, or you got all kinds of different cultures in barbershops. So yeah, we kind of do our little thing, and I don't know how I would describe us, but I know we listen to like weird indie music, and I like guitar. I love music, and Travis is big into, soccer, football, soccer. So yeah, and it's a lot of fun. Each shop has their own flair, and people are just going to be drawn to different things. And that's like you said, there's a lot of cuts going around, and there's a lot of people in this city. So, what is there? 6 shops in Laconia now? 6?
Yeah, it's doubled since we opened.
Wow. Yeah.
Which I think is great. And if COVID has taught us nothing other than this, it's that even with 6 barbershops, there's still more room to support more shops. We have plenty of population.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, someone could open up another shop a mile, and they could probably be fully booked within 3 or 4 months.
Well, because, I mean, we just look at our clienteles, and, we draw from other counties.
Right.
Because Laconia is the closest city. It may be a small city, but it's the closest city. And, most towns north of here, if they have anybody, they only have one barber in town.
I've noticed that, like towns like Lincoln, or that's even a bigger town, but some of the small little New Hampshire towns, there's nothing.
Yeah, like Wolfboro?
Yeah. Yeah, there's one guy there, like, I can't remember his name, but yeah, one dude, and they just run it out of their house. So that's a long drive, but we have, I'm sure you guys, we all have people coming from Wolfboro and all over the place. And
well, especially because they have to come here anyway for a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Like, they got to get their car serviced. Well, they're probably going to come to Laconia.
Yeah.
If they want to, get a good cigar, they got to come to Laconia.
Yeah, it's a cool little city. I dig it. And I think it's making a big comeback. I always say it reminds me a lot of the town I grew up in Jacksonville. It's called Murray Hill, but it's a historic neighborhood, so a lot of old homes. It wasn't really a downtown, but Edgewood Avenue was kind of like Laconia Main Street. There was a theater, and it was really close to another area that was more expensive area, kind of like how we're close to Meredith. And what happened was Riverside got so expensive that people started moving to Murray Hill and opening businesses, and then it became the hip spot. There was cool bars, barbershop, vegan restaurants, pizza joints. And I could really see that in Laconia. I can see within the next 5 years or maybe 3 that it will really be the place to be. And I'm really glad I live here. So I have a shop here. So I'm just buckling up for the ride and hoping that Laconia keeps kind of getting better and keeps improving and cool businesses opening up. That's my hope anyway.
Well, and I mean, from the almost 8 years that we've been open here, seeing what Main Street was when we first, opened versus now is a huge improvement. Like, we're talking, it was on life support when we, first started up, and
it's come a long way.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And it's not just due to the theater project, which is great for the listeners that had no idea where Laconia is or what's going on. We have a theater here on Main Street called the Colonial. There are actually 2 Colonial theaters in the state of New Hampshire. One of them has already been redone, and it's in Keene. But we have our own, and it has a lot of very rich history for the local area, because this used to be a hub for everybody to come in summers for Winnipesaukee and the lakes, and then in the winters this was like a major train stop for when you were going skiing and stuff, or going to like some of the grand hotels that New Hampshire used to have. So we used to have ballrooms on Weir's Beach that you could go dancing and listen to like Artie Shaw, Glenn Miller Orchestra, like a bunch of the big bands of the day. And the Colonial Theater, we had an opera house in Lakeport section of town. And, there was a lot of culture that came through here at one point. So the fact that we're now revitalizing that theater is huge, especially for downtown, because it was a big, like, black hole of when's somebody going to do something with that building for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And now the city is helping with its renovation so it can be the gem that it once was, which is exciting. But since then, like, despite that just not happening for a very, very long time, the rest of the downtown businesses, this is a huge area where this thing called urban renewal that happened all across the country at a lot of different downtowns went from like the big mall craze, where it's like malls everywhere, everybody wants malls.
And now they're all empty. The
Yeah.
malls.
But like a lot of downtowns tried to like mimic malls to be very walkable and very closed off, where it's like park and walk.
Yeah.
So for a long time, Main Street did not go all the way through downtown. That little chute that we drive up used to be walking only, like totally
Oh wow.
concrete. So
That is crazy.
we suffered from that, which really, really hurt downtown. And then there was some resurgence. We still had like large, not say big box, but like larger department stores and other things down here. And those died off. And, the 90s were good for some people, but not for others. And then, 2008 really hurt more people. So it had been struggling, and they kept trying to it's like starting a lawnmower. You get some momentum and you try and it doesn't start. You get some momentum and you try and it doesn't start. And it goes, a few tugs. But I actually think in the last 5 years, the last real tug is gonna kick up that motor to where we're gonna fly here pretty soon.
And kind of touching on what you said, when I moved in there, obviously it was empty. Next to me was empty. There was the photography store, and then Spyglass Eyewear was empty. And he did a really nice job on that. And the stores in front of us, they're not allowed to be occupied because of the Colonial Project. But when that's done, those will be full, I hope. Really, just the Masonic building is kind of the one that I think needs something open in there. And even Pleasant Street they put a clothing store there. There's a really nice salon back there. So it's really filling in a lot.
I definitely think for the future, for Laconia specific, I know we're getting off the barbering a little bit, but being part of your community really matters as a barber in the long run, and being aware of your fellow merchants around you, because especially depending on your downtown economy, or where you're located in your shop, you need to help each other out.
Yeah.
But especially up here in northern New England, that's kind of how we've survived. Is if somebody opens a shop, it doesn't matter what it is, downtown Laconia or somewhere very similar, if you don't have fellow merchants on board with you, you're not going to last.
Wow.
Because we cross-promote so much.
Right.
And we actively speak about things that we like. And if we like something, we go there. If we go there, that means we're going to talk about it. So if we have customers and they're asking, they're already going to your bike shop. Oh, hey, where can I get a haircut around here? I need one. And they'll send you where they go.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely a tight-knit little area, and I see it on the up and up, definitely, because it's good for everybody. And again, I don't want to get too far off barbering. I'm sure you can cut this all out later, but they have police walking the beat now.
Yep.
And that's gonna help. Just kind of clean it up a little bit, and I think we're gonna be good.
Having that rapport where, they typically, depending on which shift you're dealing with, like some of them start at the tail end of their regular business day. So it's like, they can pop in real quick and say hi. But, sometimes they can, the morning beat, you can be like, oh, hey, can I, keep my coffee here and I'll stop back once in a while.
Yeah, that's cool.
And, overall, it's we're very fortunate in our community that we we have a phenomenal rapport with law enforcement and outreach, and just we feel safe, generally speaking, in a lot of the areas of the city.
Yeah, it's not a bad town. I know it gets a bad rap for New Hampshire, but to me, I think it's got a lot of hope and promise, and I kind of consider it a step up from my hometown. So
Sweet. I'm
Yeah.
so glad to hear that.
yeah, I'm like, it's
New Hampshire's better than Florida.
yeah,
You heard it here.
yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to think what I could talk about that is Barber related.
Oh, I can compare anything to barbering. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that. I am kind of curious on your take on like from your experience, obviously working at Rick's and checking out other shops in pursuit of finding your own gig. Like, what was lacking in the atmosphere to make you really feel comfortable and want to stay? Like, because I mean that's huge when it comes to a barber. Finding their home is where they have to spend their time all day.
Yeah. Let's see. How can I word this? I guess I wasn't feeling the camaraderie anymore. Just that, hey guys, it just kind of felt, I just didn't feel like it was that much fun. The atmosphere was good. The decorations are great. It's a good looking shop, nice chairs,
Yeah, but
good, strong clientele.
like the atmosphere for the barber is not the aesthetic. It is really the relationships that you have with your fellow coworkers, and the vibe that you feel on a day-to-day basis going in there. Like typically the reason for anybody in any profession to really not like to dread going to work is because they have to deal with somebody negative or to possibly encounter conflict. Like there's something like that they're not looking forward to, so they're like, it's the grind. It's typically not what you're doing for work.
Right, because cutting hair I enjoy it. And I actually should say that probably it was me that was probably the biggest issue, because in my heart of hearts, I knew I wanted to work for myself, and I never went to work there to leave. I thought I was going to work there forever. I was going to move to New Hampshire, and I was going to work at that shop, and it was only 15 minutes from my house. So for a New Hampshireite, that's a pretty good commute. But I don't know, maybe I was picking it apart or something, but I just felt like, I'm just missing something. And I just kind of a free spirit, and I just thought, and like I said, I thought about quitting barbering. I was to the point where I thought maybe I'm not supposed to be a barber. So I was considering maybe going to work at the Boys and Girls Club over here because my daughter was attending there. I thought about moving back home and just going back home, my tail between my legs. So I have to take responsibility that it was probably a lot of it was me, that I just wasn't feeling it. I wanted to do my own thing, and I would come in the morning and say hi to one of the other barbers, and he just wouldn't even respond to me. And you got to work this close to somebody all day, and I'm just like, well, all right. Then I started kind of having negative feelings, like, hey, if he's not going to say hey to me, then I'm not going to say hey to him. Then I would purposely not engage with him all day long. So it just started feeling like a game or a psychological thing. And I'm just like, maybe it's just time for me to do something new. I was there for a year and a half. I know that's not a really long stint, but, I did the best I could, stayed the best I could, and I was always on time and, did my job. But when I went home, I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. So,
well, I mean, I think it's really important for anybody in any profession that communication, number one, that's obviously a growing thing for anybody going through life, is like learning how to communicate with other humans who are probably not very good at communicating either. And, learning to recognize, even if it's, 2020, looking in the past going, all right, I contributed to, that situation. That's a phenomenal and very mature perspective to have.
yeah.
And we deal with that all the time. I mean, we got 5 barbers here that's all very different personalities. And, it's like having roommates,
Yeah.
and
Maybe
you really
someone's
have
not
to.
a right fit, you know? It doesn't mean that it's a bad shop or you're a bad barber. It just means maybe you don't fit in this tribe here, and maybe that tribe's better for you. And I try to just think of that as a good experience for me learning, and they're great guys over there, great barbers. I just felt like maybe it was time for me to try something new, I'm kind of glad I did, you know, because it's really led to a good path for me.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's worked out phenomenally for you. I mean,
yeah.
I worked at 2 shops before I opened my own, and I left on good terms on both of those. But it was very like, I know what I want. I know what I agree with. Some people running certain things in a certain way, and then I know what I don't want to do. And that was enough for me to be able to move forward and progress the way that I wanted to.
Yeah, and same thing in the shop in Jacksonville that I worked. The guy was an excellent barber. I just didn't like the culture there. I just didn't feel like I fit in. And so I feel like I'm a pretty easygoing person, but at the same time, I'm kind of selective about who I liked around me. So, yeah, I just didn't feel like I fit in there. All the guys they had there was like 3 core guys there that had been there forever, and they were great barbers. And when I got out of school, I would shadow them and I would hang out. But once I started working there, I just realized that this isn't really the kind of shop that the ideology of the shop, the music they listen to. Like, I know this is really picky stuff, but
It's not though, because that's your day. That's what your day
right.
is filled with.
Yep. And Travis and I talk about this all the time, and I'm not picking at any barbers, but I feel like there's these little sects of barbering, and they're all like these identities, and not every barber falls into it, but a lot of barbers, they're either like really urban, or they're really like tattoo guy, or they're the rockabilly dude, and I don't want to be that. I'm Cody, and Travis is Travis, and like, we don't wear uniforms. I just wear jeans, sneakers, and an apron. He can wear whatever color apron he wants. He doesn't have to wear the matching one. And I feel like that's what makes our shop kind of quirky, is that he can be himself. I can be me. I don't tell him when to come to work. He comes in whenever he wants. He's handles his own cash register. He's responsible for his destiny. And as long as he upholds what we consider our universal quality level that we both find this is where we need to be, no lower. Not that we are trying to do bare minimum, but we have our quality standard that we want to do. We always want to do our best, even if it takes us 15 minutes or 30 minutes over our appointment. But besides that, he can do whatever he wants. And I kind of wanted our shop to be like that, because I feel like every shop I went to, I had to like conform, you know. And again, I'm not a nonconformist, but this is an art form in a way. Barbering is an art, and you can't give a painter a palette and a brush and hold the brush and paint for them. You have to let them create, and they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be just like you. But that's what's beautiful about barbering, is that I feel like Travis and I both have strengths and weaknesses. There's certain things he can do that blow my mind that I can't do. And I'm sure there's things I do that he can't do. But that's what makes us unique. So some people only go to him, and that's awesome. And some people only come to me, and they like the service that I provide. That's what I think is great about barbering. And that's why with my shop, I wanted to keep it really unique. I try to be really lax and not have any kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Really no restrictions. It's just like, hey, just be yourself, be friendly to the customers, be on time for your appointments, obviously, and do the best job. Don't cut people. As long as you do that, I'm happy. And I think that's really working for us. Like, it's our little thing. And it's cool. I didn't mean to get off topic there, but
No, it's fine. You're not off topic at all.
Yeah.
Something comes to mind. Like I've experienced shops and talked to people who have experienced shops who have a very similar situation to what you and Travis have. And do you find that there might be a possibility? Like, do you guys have an understanding that's clear between you that Main Street Social Club is uniform when it comes to certain things, like obviously the hours of the shop, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But like
Product. I discourage him to bring his own product in because I want to offer consistency for the customer. And he's pretty happy with the products that we do use. He likes them a lot. And I kind of found them myself because I didn't get like phone calls from any sponsors. Like I know there's these prominent pomade companies that go around and they sell pomade. So I went with Clubman because to me that's old school. So I got like a Clubman pomade. They're not very expensive. And then I found some clay that I could get for a good price. And then we actually try to pass the savings on to the customer. I feel like I like that. I like keeping our product prices low because I think people buy more product that way and get more into it. Besides that, yeah, I mean, we have our hours. And I always tell them, if you need to take care of something and stay late, I gave him a key. He can stay late, take care of a customer, sometimes come in early or whatever. And, yeah, that's really the main thing that we try to keep consistent. And obviously I own the shop, but he's kind of like Travis Fan Barbering LLC. So it's kind of cool. He does his thing. I do mine. And
so how do you guys work that out when it comes to like advertising, like, posting stuff or letting people know things, whether one or the other is going to be somewhere? Like, does he have equal access to your social media?
No, he doesn't. He's not really a big social media guy. Now I'm considering bringing on a third barber in February, and through his school that he is attending, they're encouraging them to use social media. And I kind of told him, if you want to do that, you can. I have been actually laying off social media. As far as when we first started, I was saying, hey, Travis has an opening today. And I always try to, if I can, get a new customer to go to him, because not that I'm more busy than him, but there's just that stigma about a shop that if you own it, people want to go to your chair a lot. So I want to make sure that he has an opportunity to earn a good living. And, so if I get a new customer that calls and they haven't been in the shop, a lot of times I'll just book them with him. So even though he's his own guy, I feel like we are a team. And so I feel like we really work together. We definitely had a few arguments, and it's not a big deal, but we never sat down and talked when he first started working there. So then it took a year of little things that were frustrating each other, and then we had to talk. And then after that, it's been awesome. I just said, look, this is something that you've been doing that bothers me. And he told me same thing, that sometimes I do this. And so we apologize to each other, and it's been great. We work together. Well, essentially it's my shop, but he works there. I think he's pretty happy there. But yeah, he doesn't really do our social media at all. He doesn't really do social media, period. But yeah, I try to just put blasts out there. If we have a couple openings or we're slow, that's when I'll try to utilize social media. But that's about it. Actually, another thing is we try not to even market our haircuts at all. We don't put pictures of haircuts anymore. I've been doing a lot of research and reading, and I just realized that I want to market our atmosphere more than the haircuts we're doing, because I think anyone can do a good haircut. And you go on Instagram and all you see is airbrushed haircuts with perfect pompadours and loud Latino music and everything. But I don't want to do any of that. I want to be the complete opposite. So all I do is I take little pictures of the bar. I'll take a picture of Elvis and say, hey, we got a couple openings today. And that's kind of like my approach, is that, we're a barbershop, but we're not like what's really popular right now. We're just a little different.
Well, you're I would say a strong purveyor of what we talk about on the podcast all the time, which is that 80% of your experience is the shop and talking to your barber, and that experience that you're having, the haircut is 20%.
That's the exact number that the guy I used to work for in Florida, he said it's 80% haircut, 80% conversation, 20% haircut. And he said it's important to know how to cut hair. But the most important thing is yourself, selling yourself, having a smile on your face, and making people feel good. Actually, there's a new thing that I'm trying to implement that I saw from Ivan Zoot. I'm sure you've seen Ivan Zoot.
I have seen Ivan Zoot.
But he says, don't ever drape a new client until after the consultation. I thought, that's actually a good, like, so if I have a new guy coming in, I'll spin him around. I'll say, hey, man, hey, how are you? And I'll spin him around, and we'll look in the mirror together, and I'll just talk to him for like 5 minutes. And then once I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing, then I'll throw the cape on him. So, I feel like that little extra time maybe is going to help us, people feel good, feel like we care enough to take that 5 minutes and just, hey, man, like about, people are particular about beards. Like, hey, do you want to keep the length down here, or what do you want me to do here? And once I'm all squared away, then I'll cape them up. So, we're trying to do little things like that. It's been a big learning experience for me. Trust me.
Well, I think that it doesn't matter, how many years of experience you have in the barbering field. I think that, learning is a constant. And so as long as you're doing that, you're on the right track.
Yeah. And I've learned so much, first of all, becoming a barber, but owning the shop has been a huge thing. Feel very blessed to have the opportunity. It's really improved my quality of life, just how I feel about myself. Like, wow, I own a shop. It's just the best feeling. So I love it. And I'm really glad that I've got a good crew, and maybe one day we can grow. And who knows? And maybe we'll have a second location one day. I don't know.
Well, and
I would love that.
It kind of reminds me of like one of my younger barbers, where she's new to the area. She lives here now and everything. And there was one time she was like, "Do you ever feel like you're a celebrity? Because you go places and people recognize you like all the time."
Yeah, it is crazy around here. It's such a small town.
Yeah, and I mean, no matter where you end up living in this area, like we said before, most people end up coming to Laconia at least once a week, kind of a thing. But it's a double-edged sword. I mean, yes, there is a little bit of celebrity, if you want to call it that, where you're very easily recognized by people because you see a lot of people all the time, and you get to have great conversations with people, which makes you really approachable.
Right.
But
sometimes you just want to grab your broccoli.
Yes.
No, and I love talking to people. Again, it makes me extremely proud when I see someone from the shop or someone I've cut their hair. But I think we were talking about it earlier. It is a very psychologically, emotionally draining job.
It is.
So it's not that you don't want to talk to people outside of work, but you only have very little time outside of work. And sometimes I just kind of, you just want to lay low and just, So I've found myself going to other towns lately when I want to go out to dinner or whatever. Not that I run into people all the time, but it's nice to just go somewhere and you don't have to be social. You can just eat your food and or whatever.
It's one of the cool things about the whole mask wearing thing is like, if I have a mask and a hat on, you have no idea it's me.
It's true, yeah.
But
Put
without
your
the
hoodie
hat,
on.
without the hat, I'm lost.
Yeah, it's true. Your hair's noticeable
from a distance. But it's, I will say is, it really depends on the barber, because there are some people who are naturally extroverted and just feed off of people and love interaction. And I don't get the impression that that's you, because it's certainly not me.
Yeah. So I don't want to, I don't know how I could say it. I don't force myself, but I drink a lot of coffee in the morning, and I get up way earlier than I have to be at the shop, and I just sit there and drink my coffee, and I get to work really early. It takes me like 30 minutes. And I just clean everything. And then by the time someone's ready to come in, I'm mentally there. I try to be. But it can be tough. And obviously, sometimes you get the wrong person in your chair and they can be really uncomfortable or awkward. And that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, that my ultimate work day is when I look at my schedule and I go, oh yeah, he's coming in. And I know that I'm gonna jive with those people because we just have like a friendship. So that's what I want to. I don't want to be exclusive, but I kind of want to be exclusive. And I'm not saying I'm good enough to be exclusive or we're popular enough, but that's kind of what I would like to do with the shop is eventually where it's not like a members only, but it's a more smaller, exclusive, and it's not for everyone. And I think I learned that from the music industry that if you try to please everyone, you please no one. If you're a variety band and you play a country song and then your next song's a reggae song, 50% of the people are going to like that, 50% are going to like that. But if you're a really amazing jazz band, the people that love jazz will pay money to go see you. So as a barber shop, I want to make sure that people that like what we do are coming in there, and we're not trying to appeal to a lot of the other, like we're not trying to appeal to airbrushed haircuts. We're not appealing to we're appealing to a certain kind of people that love music and arts and like community. And that's really where I'm trying to push the shop in that direction. That's why actually we've talked about that. We don't even want to really grow that big. I think the biggest I could ever see that shop is 3 or maybe 4 chairs. And that way people come in and they know all the barbers and all the barbers know the customers, and it feels normal every day. It feels like fluid. And I guess that's kind of what I'm shooting for there, you know.
I think that's a phenomenal goal to have, and I certainly think in the next, 3 to 5 years, you could definitely get to where you want to be.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
You'd be amazed what can happen in 3 to 5 years that you didn't think could happen.
Well, you know what's interesting? So the name of the shop, that's Social Club. So there are liquor licenses for social clubs, but no one under the age of 18 can come in. But I thought if we ever went that route, we could really make it like an adult-only social club where you can get a haircut. I don't want to turn it into a bar, but I would love to make it kind of like a social club, and maybe even do events after hours. Maybe we're already talking about doing some beer tastings in there, or maybe someone bring some nice whiskeys in and we can have some testing glasses. And I really think the idea of exclusivity and specializing in one little tiny thing and just doing it the best you can, I think that's a really cool model. And the way things are going in the economy and COVID, we have these huge corporations. We have Amazon, we have Walmart, and one of the only businesses that are going to be able to survive, small businesses, are like the hair industry, because obviously you can't buy a haircut on Amazon. So we have this opportunity to really do some awesome stuff. Because think about 10 years from now, where are you going to be able to go that's not corporate owned? Just some restaurants and hair places.
Well, around here, we're a little more on the lucky side.
It's nice.
Because our economy is odd in this area by being so local.
Yeah.
Because nobody else will open here. We literally don't have any chains except for
that one McDonald's way down there.
Any corporation, like big chains, like national chains. We have a McDonald's. We have a Taco Bell. We have a Dairy Queen, and I don't even count T-Bones and Cactus Jacks because that's New Hampshire specific.
Yeah, it's just kind of a state thing. It's awesome.
And we have a VIP O'Reilly's.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff.
But like
auto parts,
and
okay.
Like advanced auto parts, like Dollar Tree. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's all. We have no Walmart in Laconia. We have no. We have one grocery store in Laconia.
Yeah, Vista.
Otherwise, you got to go one town over either way.
It is a unique town.
So the stuff that we have here is super local, and that's how we've survived.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what happened 20 years ago or something. Whatever happened in the 90s, I think the city somehow just shunned all of the corporate businesses into like going to the next town over. I don't know how. I don't know why. I'm not going to ask those questions, but this is what we're given for Laconia today, and I'm not mad at it.
I'm kind of glad there's not a Walmart Supercenter on Union Avenue.
you didn't see what the Guilford Walmart was before their renovation.
No.
It was the smallest Walmart I'd ever been
Oh,
inside.
really? Like
It was so weird. There was
funny.
obviously no grocery section. We're talking old school Walmart before the grocery, all right?
Yeah.
And they had like their electronic section was like minuscule. It was so weird. And then of course they did the renovation and now it looks like a regular Walmart. But yeah, for those couple years I was like, where did we move to?
It is such a unique little town, and kind of going back to what you're saying, I've talked to customers that own businesses around here, and they always say, if you show up to work and you do a good job, you're always going to be able to stay in business here. We have the lake. The lake is just an incredible resource, and as long as you just, and I just feel really lucky to kind of stumbled into Laconia. It's really weird how I got here, but I like it. And it's a great little town. There's so much to do. And like you said, I think small business will always thrive in New Hampshire. It just has that spirit here. So I like that a lot.
Well, and I think part of the whole live free or die spirit of New Hampshire, and I am not by any means a native,
Yeah.
but the live free or die spirit here that people take to heart really shows in the way that we operate, where it's if you are consistent in what you offer and you do what you say you're going to do by way of your hours, by way of your prices, by way of whatever you are saying you're promising your customer, as long as you are consistent in that, you'll do fine.
Yeah.
Because that's all anybody asks for is the do what you say you're going to do.
Yep. Be accessible and do the best you can. And yeah, it's a lot of potential around here for sure.
Well, the conversation of the week in my chair has been the difference between the attitude in northern New England versus the attitude in the South, where it's in New England, we don't have time to lie to you. We don't have time to be fake. We are going to tell you you're an asshole because we need you to know that you're an asshole so we can go about our day and prepare for winter because we've only got 3 months of summer and we got to do everything we can now.
That is absolutely true. As a true Southerner, I can tell you that.
But
Southern people have that. We draw it. Hey, you could be at the bar and you're talking to this guy, and New England people keep to themselves. But once they're your friend, they're solid, good
they're
people.
Solid.
Yeah. I have a lot of acquaintances down south. I don't know how many friends I really have, but I met some awesome people up here for sure.
And
really nice people.
I feel like that has a lot to do with the overall culture of the area is going, we don't have time for anything but what's real.
Yeah.
So if you are not consistent, we don't have time for you.
It's true. Yeah. Because I always joke with my customers and say, you have to fight the weather here. You're always fighting the weather.
Weather and the sunlight.
Yeah. So it's, first of all, it's tough living up here. It's not easy. And it takes a lot of effort and work. And like you said, most of the guys I know, or not guys, everybody I know up here, they work over 40 hours a week. And they grind. And a lot of them are homeowners. And it's, it's a lot different. In the South, there's a lot of apartments, and you don't have to burn wood to keep your house warm. You just turn on the air conditioner, and there's highways and there's street lights. And up here, it's like you gotta like fend for yourself, And I've really learned a lot living here. It's completely transformed my life completely.
But I think it really, if you can survive up here, that's the key.
That's really the word.
If you can survive up here, you love it here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we really have this mindset that when you are required to deal with things out of your control, priorities align themselves. And that can be compared to 2020 COVID is going, when something is out of your control that is affecting your life and you have to work around it, you have to align your priorities and figure out what matters and figure out what doesn't.
Right.
And then you really put your life in order so that it's a life you want to live, not a life you're being forced to live.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to do at the shop. It's like, I want to be happy every day. I want to get up, look at my phone, and see that my buddy's coming to get a haircut. And yeah, that's because we spend a lot of time at work here as New Englanders, and we work hard, and you want to make sure that you make it count every day at work. You want to be happy. I want to come home with enough energy to be a good father and be a good husband or boyfriend or whatever. And yeah, so I try to tie that all together, because we've been talking about that this whole time, about balance and all the stuff that comes with the hair industry, that how it's a tough gig, so try to make it count, try to make it fun.
And hey, welcome to Philosophy of the Barber, where we tie everything to barbering.
Yeah, I love it. This is so cool, though.
Well, Cody, it's been wonderful talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming down the road and entering my basement.
Thank you for your contributions to the barber industry in Laconia and paving the way.
And we look forward to moving forward together and
sure.
helping the city start that mower engine. My goodness.
Absolutely.
So we'll keep an eye out for you in the future. And thank you again.
Thanks a lot.